Tyrese Haliburton did it again. Sports Nightcap is live. I am Caleb Calhoun. We're going to recap the NBA Finals, and we got some NFL news and some other things to get to. Thanks for tuning in. A crazy start to the NBA Finals with some magic that I didn't even believe possible. Let's go ahead and dive in. Hit that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell. Turn your notifications on. Tell a friend. We are building something great here at Sports Nightcap. Want you to be a part of it. And we are going to lead with the NBA Finals. The Indiana Pacers cap off a dramatic comeback to beat Oklahoma City 111-110 in the NBA Finals. We'll get to that. Tyrese Haliburton pulls off some incredible magic. Also, Aaron Rodgers has officially signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to break down what that means. And the Elon-Musk-Donald Trump fight, I'm not going to talk about politics on the show, guys, but I do want to know what the sports equivalent is of it, because this is a crazy fight. I'm sorry, it's entertaining for somebody like me. So, for anybody, for that matter, if you like messiness. So, I want to know what many of us think would be the sports equivalent of Elon Musk versus Donald Trump. That will be one that we're going to break down as well. But we first have to dive in with the first game of the NBA Finals. The Oklahoma City Thunder the Indiana Pacers overcame a 17-point first half deficit in which they had 19 turnovers and a 9-point deficit to start the fourth quarter to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 111-110 as Tyrese Haliburton hit another game-winning jump shot. This was as deja vu could be. I mean, it was literally the Knicks in game one at home against Indiana all over again. The Knicks in game one at home against Indiana had a gigantic lead, blow it late. Tyrese Haliburton hits a game tying play in that one to send it to overtime, and then the Knicks blow it in overtime. And then in this one, the Thunder have a lead, blow it late. Tyrese Haliburton hits a game winner with 0.3 seconds left. The Pacers continue to be the heartbreaking team of the NBA playoffs. This one was insane. I mean, guys, I can't say this one was really insane because honestly, the next one was more insane. But how many times is this going to happen? How many times are the Pacers going to play heartbreaker in this? This is absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen anything like this. And here's the crazy part of the stats, okay? Tyrese Haliburton is not a non-clutch player. He's a very good player whose level of play has really paralleled what he did in the regular season. But he's not like your type of clutch player who just ups his game in the playoffs, okay? Tyrese Haliburton, his PER is almost exactly the same as it was during the regular season. His value over replacement is actually significantly lower than it was during the regular season. His box plus minus is 0.3 points lower than it was during the regular season. And his win shares and win shares per 48 minutes are both lower than they were in the regular season. Tyrese Haliburton, the advanced metrics show, is no more clutch in the playoffs than your average NBA playoff player. Yet somehow he has these game-winning shots where he cuts you deep. So what's the explanation? There's no science to it. It's just been luck. Not luck in that Tyrese Haliburton hit those shots. It's just been down to chance. It's a sheer coincidence that Tyrese Haliburton has been this good in the clutch in game-winning shots and has stood out for it. The real story of the Pacers is Rick Carlisle is that good of a coach. Rick Carlisle has consistently, throughout his career, coached talent beyond what he has. Hence the reason he won a title with the 2011 Mavericks, which says it all. Okay, 97.5% of NBA Finals championships were won by the team with the better players and the better stars. Rick Carlisle is one of maybe 3 coaches ever to coach a team to an NBA title with lesser talent. And he did that in 2011 in Dallas. When you have a coach that can overcome lack of talent, you open up situations for your weapons to make big plays in the final moments, and that's what happened with Tyrese Haliburton. Tyrese Haliburton, again, I want to stress this, for his career Tyrese Haliburton for his career is worse in the playoffs than he is in the regular season. Now, that's not a knock. Almost everybody is worse in the playoffs than they are in the regular season, but that does not mean clutch. Tyrese Haliburton's PER drops nearly a point in the playoffs. And his win shares for 48 minutes, box plus minus, and value over replacement are all below where they are in the regular season, as is his true shooting percentage. But he somehow finds a way to hit these game-winning shots, and he steps up in the fourth quarter. And to have that opportunity, you have to give it to Rick Carlisle. That's where this comes down to. There's no science to this, though. It's just sheer coincidence. OKC had no business losing this game. They forced 19 first-half turnovers, but they lost. They lost largely because they had major cold shooting spells, not the least of which was in the final 3 minutes of the game. They had 106 points with 3 minutes to go in the game. They had 106 points. With 2 minutes and 52 seconds left, they had 108 points. They hit one field goal in the final 2 minutes and 52 seconds. That was it. They had a 5-point lead. By the way, that field goal gave them a 5-point lead with a minute and a half left. They should have held on to that, but they blew it. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with a chance to ice it when OKC was up 110-109, missed a 2-pointer, a 14-foot 2-pointer with 11 seconds left, and that's when Haliburton made the pull-up shot. This is demoralizing for OKC, but there is a silver lining here, and it's not a big one, but I'm going to point this out. I said on Monday that OKC would either win the finals in 5 or 6 games. I said it would be 5 if they took game 1. But I also said there was a chance they would be rusty in game 1 because they had been off for so long. They've been off for a week, whereas Indiana had been off for about 5 days. There is a bit of a difference, guys. 5 days versus 8 days is actually a huge difference. Okay, so OKC, that showed in this game. OKC looked better rested, but they also looked rustier. What do I mean by that? They forced 19 turnovers, and they only had, in the first half, by the way, and they only had 6 for the game. They forced 24 on the game, and they only had 6, but they forced 19 in the first half. They were fresh. They were better rested. They wrecked Indiana. However, the rustiness showed. They shot below 40% from the field, 39 of 98. They were only 11 of 30 from 3 at 36.7. Okay. By the way, these are these are both below their averages for the year. Well, not the 3-point percentage. They actually shot above their average in 3-point percentage. Well below their percentage in field goal percentage, though. Well below. Okay, that's not how bad they usually are from the field. And it had everything to do with the fact that they were totally rusty in this game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander still was a start. He had 38 points, 3 steals, 3 assists, 5 rebounds, was 14 of 30. But just didn't get the help he needed. Jalen Williams, while Jalen Williams did have 17 points, he was 6 of 19 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3. Chet Holmgren, just 6 points. Chet Holmgren made up for it defensively. That's what I'm talking about. Chet Holmgren was the vintage Oklahoma City player in this game because he only had 6 points, but he played a lot of good aggressive defense. And then off the bench, Alex Caruso with 3 steals, but again, had 5 fouls. Fouling was an issue with Oklahoma City because they were a little rusty. I say all this to say that if Oklahoma City can mentally get past this loss, and that may be difficult, by the way, they may not be able to get past this loss mentally because of just how brutal it was. But if they can, they can still win this game in this series in 6. And I think they still win the series in 6 because their shooting is not going to be as poor going forward. And I do think once the shooting differences even out, Oklahoma City is going to give Indiana too much trouble. They're going to give Indiana too much trouble in so many different ways. And because of that, I think Oklahoma City is going to go win this series. This overall should be a fluke. Okay, Tyrese Haliburton, for the record, had 14 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. He just had 14 points, just that last shot. But it will depend on how Oklahoma City can mentally respond because they haven't been here before. If you want a comparison, go to the 94-95 Magic. The 94-95 Magic lost game 1 to the Houston Rockets, who were already defending champs. They lost game 1 in a heartbreaker because Nick Anderson missed 4 free throws. 4 straight free throws. And when I mean 4 straight free throws, I mean Orlando led by 3. Nick Anderson got fouled. He missed both free throws. They got the rebound. He got fouled again. He missed 2 more free throws. Orlando wasn't home. Houston responded by hitting a game-tying 3 to send it to overtime and then won in overtime. If Nick Anderson just hits one of those free throws, Orlando wins. By the same token, though, then there is the 1991 Chicago Bulls, who in their first finals, they lost game 1 to the Lakers. They were the better team. They went 61-21 that year, but they lost game 1 to Magic Johnson's Lakers. And truth be told, you could say they didn't play well and they thought the moment was too big. They responded by winning 4 straight and winning the series 4-1. So, how will Oklahoma City respond to losing to game? Excuse me, let me say this again. How will Oklahoma City respond to losing game 1 of the NBA Finals in the heartbreaking fashion they did to the Pacers? And it was heartbreaking. Will they respond like the 1991 Chicago Bulls, who also lost a heartbreaker in game 1 to a team they were better than at home, and then proceeded to win 4 straight to win the series 4-1? Or will they respond like the 1995 Orlando Magic, who lost game 1 to the Houston Rockets because Nick Anderson missed 4 free throws at home and then never mentally recovered and got swept? That's what we find out about this OKC team after this. I think they're more like the 1991 Chicago Bulls. I do. I don't think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is Michael Jordan, but I think they're more like the 1991 Chicago Bulls. Indiana doesn't have Houston's championship pedigree that came with the 95 NBA Finals. Now, the Lakers did with Magic Johnson, but that Lakers team in 91 didn't have Kareem, so that's a different story. So with all that being said, I think it's more likely OKC responds strongly to this NBA Finals loss, and they still managed to win the series in 6 games because they didn't shoot the ball well and still only lost by 1. I think the turnovers are more reflective of the difference between these teams than the shooting ability. And so I think OKC still wins in 6 games, but it does depend on how well they respond. We will stick with this. We're live, for the record, on Sports Nightcap every Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday and Thursday. Excuse me. Every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday is how we do this. So we will be live again on Sunday night, right after game 2 between the Thunder and the Pacers. And yes, OKC probably does need a 3-day rest. All right, moving on. Aaron Rodgers has officially signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's right. Aaron Rodgers has officially signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And boy, is this going to get interesting. Okay. So Aaron Rodgers signs with the Steelers after stringing them along to a certain degree. We had no idea where he was going to go for a while, but we also had no idea if he was going to actually ink this contract with Pittsburgh in the end, because things were just taking way too long. But he did end up inking the contract with Pittsburgh, and Aaron Rodgers is officially a Steeler. It was reported today. A lot of people are ready to pile on Aaron Rodgers. They look at what he did with the Jets last year with what was seemingly a loading team, and he came up short. They are looking at him aging, his arm strength being diminished, him not having the mobility he once had, his torn Achilles, and there are reasons to not believe in this signing. And also the fact that Aaron Rodgers is just one of the most annoying people in all of pro football. He's a diva. He thinks highly of himself. He thinks he's way smarter than everybody else, and he throws his teammates under the bus and always has. So all of that is reasons to not believe in the signing. I'm going to tell you why this signing is actually worth believing in. Okay, and it's not common to say what I'm going to say, but I am going to say it. Aaron Rodgers signing is fully worth believing in because there were some factors with Pittsburgh that weren't there with New York. Now, there's one factor that's similar. That one factor is he's still sticking with the same offensive philosophy that he wanted in New York and that he had when he won his last 2 MVPs in Green Bay. And that is, he's playing for Arthur Smith. For those who don't know, Arthur Smith is not going to be a big departure from Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett was the offensive coordinator for Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. He was Aaron Rodgers' offensive coordinator last year with the Jets. Nathaniel Hackett coming from the Matt LaFleur coaching tree means Arthur Smith, the Steelers' offensive coordinator, is going to have a similar philosophy. Why? Arthur Smith succeeded Matt LaFleur as offensive coordinator for the Titans back in the day. Arthur Smith knows what it takes to have a quarterback that is accurate, that has some athleticism, a minimal amount, and is playing for a running team. Arthur Smith was the brains and the genius behind the success that the Titans had with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill. Aaron Rodgers still at 40 is a better version of Ryan Tannehill, guys. So I don't think it's crazy to think that Aaron Rodgers can't be successful in this. Aaron Rodgers last year threw for 38, 97 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. That was coming off an Achilles tear. And for the record, an Achilles tear takes more than a year to fully recover from, particularly in the NFL most of the time. So you actually should expect a much bigger leap this year. I think the Jets overreacted by not wanting to re-sign him, honestly. Also, if you look at Aaron Rodgers, the biggest issue that was facing him is he always held the ball too long back in the early days trying to make a play. That changed last year. He got rid of the ball within 2.69 seconds, which is tied for 6th in an NFL release. He understands that he can't have and utilize the mobility he once did. He had to adjust a little bit last year while also coming back from injury. The combination of those two things could have had a huge impact on why he had a decline that he may not see this year. He also just didn't have the same help. We got to ask the question, were the Jets just overrated? I mean, they were 2-14, 4-13, and 7-10 before he got there. They signed a lot of aging talent. Their defense actually took a step back, went from giving up on average 4.5 yards a play in 2023 to 5 yards a play in 2024. Now, you may look at Aaron Rodgers last year with the Packers in 2022 and say, well, obviously he's mediocre. Look at that. But also, let's not forget, Devontae Adams had left the team that year. Aaron Rodgers took a contract worth $50 million, and they had a whole new crop of receivers. And Aaron Rodgers spent the whole year working with the receivers to try to get better, which took much longer than he probably wanted it to take. So when you factor all those things into account, maybe Aaron Rodgers was not so much the problem in New York. And again, I find Aaron Rodgers annoying. I've always felt that when he was in Green Bay, he got a pass that no other quarterbacks would get. But I think we're not being totally fair to him on everything on this. And the Steelers at 10-7 last year have a lot of potential this year, particularly with their young offensive linemen. I think they're better with Aaron Rodgers over Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. I'll tell you that much. So when you take all that into account, you have to think about the fact that, I think the Steelers are going to be really, really, really good with Aaron Rodgers. I think this is a really, really, really effective signing. We are really overreacting to the issues Aaron Rodgers had last year when he was in with the Jets. Okay, the Jets make everybody bad. In case you guys forgot, now it's a different type of story, but Brett Favre did tear a bicep with the Jets, and that's how they missed the playoffs in 2008. And then he went to the Vikings and had the best season of his career in 2009. Now, Brett Favre's arm strength was gone by that point. He had the benefit of Adrian Peterson being the best rusher in the NFL and playing in Brad Childress' offense, which is very effective for what he wanted to do, and was able to make scheme a lot of easy throws for Brett Favre. At the same time, you have to give credit to the fact that if you're in the right system, you can improve as an older quarterback. And I think Aaron Rodgers is in a much better system this year. I do. I think he's in a much better situation. I think Pittsburgh will have a better offensive line, a better running game. The offensive coordinator, the offensive coaching is where it needs to be with Arthur Smith there. Again, I don't think Nathaniel Hackett was the problem. I do think, again, this is Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers. Scapegoating Robert Saleh last year speaks to his character, and I'm not here to defend Aaron Rodgers' character at all. I think he's a low-class guy who has, as many people say, diva-like tendencies to prop himself above everybody else, and it's super annoying. And I mean, just this this news of him signing with Pitt now. Why did he take so long to sign with the Steelers? This was such an attention-grabbing move. It speaks to everything I don't like about him. I can't really say enough about how much I don't like Aaron Rodgers, the person. At the same time, this is a smart signing for Pittsburgh. It is. There's just no way around it. They're not really abandoning their identity by getting him. Anybody who knows Arthur Smith's offense knows that you're not really abandoning your run game identity. to sign in Aaron Rodgers. And again, Arthur Smith knows how to work with quarterbacks that can be deadly accurate because he had a run first offense with Ryan Tannehill at the Titans. Now, yes, caveat, that helps when you have Derrick Henry as your running back. Okay. Not denying that. Clear difference here. But it's not like the Steelers can't develop a really, really, really good run game. So, I think that I think that you're looking at a potentially elite team. We're also the Steelers adding Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. Caleb Johnson was an All-American in 2024. I think he'll be a rookie that immediately starts. We know how good running backs are as rookies a lot of times if they're that elite. So you could see the perfect combination of the veteran quarterback, the rookie running back with the splash talent, and the offensive line that is young but growing and getting better. The combination of them, that makes this a really good team overall. That makes this a really good offense. Pittsburgh made the right move signing Aaron Rodgers. It's going to work out. The biggest thing is you got to stop overreacting to what happened with the 2024 season with the Jets. And the reason is Aaron Rodgers coming back from injuries. I just laid out a ton of reasons, but the biggest is Aaron Rodgers coming back from an injury. It takes you more than a year to come back from an Achilles tear. Aaron Rodgers needed more than a year. He wasn't ready fully to be 100% last year, and he had to adjust to his lack of mobility. He now has a full offseason to work on that wherever he was at. I think Pittsburgh and Arthur Smith will be friendly to that. I mean, Nathaniel Hackett was too, but Pittsburgh will also have a somewhat better offensive line to be friendly to that. Their talent's not as aging as it was. I don't think the Jets needed to sign a bunch of aging talent and then have Aaron Rodgers come in. It should have been done the way Denver handled Peyton Manning, which is sign some aging talent, but really load up on a lot of young guys and guys straight in their prime that Peyton Manning can kind of manage to the Super Bowl. They've kind of gone the opposite with Aaron Rodgers. I think that was a huge mistake with the Jets. But again, leave it to the Jets to screw that up. Now we got to be fair and ask the question, was Zach Wilson sabotaged there? Because Zach Wilson, to be fair to him, didn't play last year, but he is with the Miami Dolphins, and it looks a little more like the Jets are just a bad situation and a bad team and poorly managed. Zach Wilson didn't have that many fewer yards per an attempt than Aaron Rodgers and had more yards per attempt in 2022. Aaron Rodgers was 6.5 or 6.6 last year. Still, long story short, this is a good signing for Pittsburgh. And Mike Tomlin has yet to have a losing season. Mike Tomlin has had slightly above average talent his entire career in Pittsburgh and has had more than above average success. I think this could be the year that he has a lot of success. So while I don't like Aaron Rodgers, the person, and while he annoys me, he's a good signing for Pittsburgh, and that clearly shows. Finally, Elon Musk and Donald Trump are feuding, and I don't talk politics on this show, but I just wanted to have a little fun and ask the sports equivalent of Elon Musk and Donald Trump. For those who don't know where this comes from, Elon Musk recently left the Trump administration and went public, absolutely trashing the big, beautiful bill that Trump wants to get passed through Congress right now. He's criticizing it because he's mad that it doesn't actually eliminate the deficit. He says it adds to the debt, so he's very upset about that. At least that's what he says. There could be other ulterior motives, but that's just what he says. He started to criticize the bill, and then Trump came out and said Elon Musk has Trump derangement syndrome. And then Elon Musk came out and said that Trump wouldn't have won the election last year without him. Then he goes further and goes nuclear with a series of tweets accusing Trump of being on Jeffrey Epstein's plane and Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs and in the Epstein files, and that's why the Epstein list wasn't released. I don't know what the motives are behind that. Now, again, because of those, there are some people who believe that Elon Musk knows about this stuff and he's just being extremely petty now, but he's playing with fire. But here's the question I want to ask. This public breakup from two people that really did a lot to upset half the country and galvanize half the country in their support. What is the sports equivalent of this public breakup? Honestly, what's the sports equivalent of this public breakup? What are public breakups so bitter in history that this would go there? I got a few in mind. And I'm not so sure which one is the biggest. Antonio Brown and Tom Brady strikes me as one. I mean, Antonio Brown took one. It's actually similar to Trump in the sense that, and Trump and Elon in the sense that Antonio Brown and Tom Brady was a bit of a comeback story. Antonio Brown got cut by the Patriots in 2019. The Patriots then get eliminated in the first round, and Tom Brady's last game as a Patriot. He goes to Tampa. Midway through that year in Tampa, they sign Antonio Brown. The two go win a Super Bowl together. That's a comeback story similar to Trump losing his election, being left dead in the water, and coming back and winning re-election in 2024. And then Antonio Brown and Tom Brady have a very public breakup where Antonio Brown turns on the team, takes off the shirt, runs off the field, and then just goes and becomes a troll on Twitter, most notably sending memes hinting at the idea that he had some sort of relations with Tom Brady's wife, Giselle, ex-wife. I mean, obviously that's not true, but that's what Antonio Brown says. So I got Antonio Brown and Tom Brady as one. By the way, if that's the case, then Ben Roethlisberger is Mike Pence if Antonio Brown is Donald Trump, since Antonio Brown feuded with Ben Roethlisberger too. So that's an interesting one. Another one could be T.O. and Donovan McNabb. Again, T.O. Donovan McNabb had a great first year in 2004, almost won the Super Bowl. If Donovan McNabb hadn't been sick and T.O. had not been playing injured, they might actually win that Super Bowl in 2004 against the Patriots. So T.O. and Donovan McNabb works. The next year, T.O. just launches on a tirade against Donovan McNabb. At one point says that when they have a losing record, they'd be undefeated if they had Brett Favre instead of Donovan McNabb. This is back in 2005. T.O. suspended for the whole season, gets hurt, cut by the Eagles, goes to the Cowboys, and wrecked that Eagles franchise under Andy Reid. Again, kind of similar to the Antonio Brown one. T.O. had multiple enemies before then. So you could say if T.O. is Trump and McNabb is Elon Musk, and then Jeff Garcia would be Mike Pence. So that's kind of a fun one to break down. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Now, this is a subtle, petty one. It's similar to another one I'm going to name, which is Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez. In both instances, the players don't like each other, player, coach, whatever. Now, Derek Jeter and A-Rod, I'm throwing that out. They had no public spats. They were teammates till the end. They just seemed to not like each other for just the way they believed in approaching the Yankees. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick is a little bit different. They both have something to prove. They're both trying to upstage the other one. Tom Brady did upstage Bill by winning a Super Bowl in Tampa. Bill wants to upstage Tom by being successful at North Carolina at the college game. But they haven't thrown public shots at each other. Okay. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. They have thrown public shots at each other, but they never had a breakup. And what I mean by that is they've thrown public shots at each other after Jerry Krause broke up that team on its own. But Michael Jordan in The Last Dance did maybe throw some shots at Scottie that were unnecessary. And Scottie, in response in his book, just went nuclear on Michael Jordan in so many ways that relationship will never be rectified. Put it that way. And then finally, Shaq and Kobe. I think the Elon Musk Donald Trump breakup is the sports equivalent of Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. The Elon Musk Donald Trump breakup is the sports equivalent of Shaq and Kobe. Why? In both cases, they teamed up despite being almost opposite personalities and built and enjoyed a lot of success early on that created and divided the public. In Shaq and Kobe's case, the NBA fan base either religiously hated them or religiously loved them. In Elon's and Trump's case, people who follow politics either religiously hated them or religiously loved them. Then there was a big breakup. And when the breakup happened, they both took insane shots at each other. That if you were on their side, if you were a Laker fan, you hated to see it. If you rooted for the Trump administration, you hate to see this. If you were on the other side, if you don't like Trump, you love to see what's happening with him and Elon. If you didn't like the Lakers, you love to see what was happening with Shaq and Kobe. For those who don't remember, Kobe said, I should have paid my women like Shaq when he was having his trial in 2004. That's basically the equivalent of Elon throwing out Trump being on the Epstein files, isn't it? I mean, that's pretty much the same thing. But beforehand, Shaq threw a lot of shots at Kobe, not at one point saying, our whole team is there when Kobe wasn't there, and undercutting him and his value to the team at so many different times when he was having anger. That was what Donald Trump somewhat was doing too, with Elon Musk publicly saying things like Musk has Trump derangement syndrome before we got to this point, and then Musk going full nuclear, accusing Trump of being tied to Jeffrey Epstein. Shaq, of course, had his own moment in the Shaq-Kobe feud where he had that rap taking total shots at Kobe when the Lakers lost to the Celtics in 6 games in the 2008 finals. Of course, Kobe went to win on 2 titles after that to end up finishing his career with one more ring than Shaq. When Kobe wins that title in 2010, he literally says, how do you feel? He was asked, how do you feel to win your 5th title? And he said, 1 more than Shaq. So I think the Elon-Trump feud is more like Shaq-Kobe, because going back to the ones I mentioned, Antonio Brown and Tom Brady, that was way more Antonio Brown than it was Tom Brady. T.O. and Donovan McNabb, way more T.O. than it was Donovan McNabb. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, neither's talking publicly. Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez, neither's talking publicly. You can maybe say Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, but Scottie Pippen's talking way more nuclear than Michael Jordan did. Michael Jordan maybe made a couple comments, but that was it. I'm going Shaq and Kobe because they both went nuclear on each other. They went nuclear on each other, and it got bitter. And honestly, it was some great entertainment for those of us who were NBA fans at the time. Elon and Trump are doing that to each other now. So I think Elon Trump is Shaq and Kobe if it is any feud. If there is any feud similar to Elon and Trump in sports, it's Shaq and Kobe. It's Shaq and Kobe. And it's because to have a feud similar to this, you got to be both sides are public and both sides are going nuclear. And that's what happened in this case. All right. I want to thank you all for tuning into this. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Ring the bell. Turn your notifications on. Tell a friend. We are slowly building something great here at Sports Nightcap. Want you to be a part of it. I want to brag about my YouTube shorts. I had a couple that just dropped on this one that each had over 1,000 views. We're obviously talking about Kevin Durant. I called him washed, and I said LeBron James actually is more clutch than Michael Jordan, even though Michael Jordan's the better player. So you guys, please hit the like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of the show. I always love to hear debates and things like that. I'd love to hear even advice from you guys. I'm not beyond that. And we will be back Sunday. We're going to be live every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday on this show. Those are the times we're going to go live. There's not a set time. It will usually be late at night. The only set time is in each of those days, we will go live after the major live event, whatever that may be, during that day ends. So obviously, Sunday, the major live event will be Game 2 of the NBA Finals. We'll go live after that. Same with next Thursday. And then if it's something like Monday where there's not as many big events, we'll go live around 10:30 or 11. So just stay tuned for that. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, hit that like and subscribe button. You guys have a great rest of your day with Caleb Calhoun. This has been Sports Night.